Hi everyone! So for today's video, we'll be going over some tax planning tips for 2021 and then also just some things to think about when planning ahead for 2022. So stay tuned. This is Adrienne with the Lunchtime Live from Fame Consulting. For today, I will be going over some tax planning tips and tricks and things that you should be thinking about and definitely discussing with your accountant. So this segment will be broken up into some tips for individuals, some tips for businesses. Some of them overlap and apply in both areas. But I just really kind of want to put this out there for you to start having the conversation before the year ends. So if there's some things that you could set up in the next couple of weeks so that you can get to a better tax situation, now is the time to do that. So for individuals, one of the first things I have on my list is consider moving. So now with this whole exodus from corporate and just people, even like if you're still working, your employer's allowing remote working options, a lot of people are thinking of moving from very high or expensive markets such as New York, California, to lower cost markets. Now, you also want to think about that in terms of your taxes. So some people may be thinking of going to other states like Texas or Florida, where state taxes are low or non-existent. So that's tip number one, consider moving. So if that's something you're open to, start looking in other markets, reach out to realtors or other people in other states, just to figure out, what might be out there. You might get a better bang for your buck somewhere else, right? All right. The next thing I wanted to highlight is under the CARES Act, you can actually deduct up to $300 or $600 if you're married filing jointly for charitable contributions. And it's an above the line deduction for 2021. Now is a good time to think about, what's your favorite charity, make those donations before the end of the year so you can take advantage of that deduction on your taxes for 2021. For 2021, I also encourage you to take a look and revisit the retirement account contribution limits for 2021 and make sure that you max those out so that you can potentially save on your taxes for when you go to file 2021 next year. Another thing that's really cool that was added as part of the CARES Act is that an employer can pay up to $5,250 towards your student loans, and that payment can be made directly to you, the employee, or to your actual loan servicer. So if you have student loans that are coming up for repayment, I definitely recommend checking in with HR at your employer, or if you are HR, seeing if that's a tax planning tip that you could use to pay down some of your student loans. And then the great tax benefit is that $5,250 payment is not taxable to you. So normally if you have like cancellation of debt or someone is paying, if you're receiving like a payment from your job, it's taxable. In this case, this is something under the CARES Act that it will allow the employer to take a deduction for the expense, to pay that expense on your behalf, but you don't have to report it as income on your personal taxes. So definitely check in with HR on that. And then this is a constant reminder. There are lots of videos that are out there. You definitely want to check out what's going on with your cryptocurrency. So crypto transactions can be taxable. So I'm telling you now, check in and see what you did in your wallet during the year. Meet with your accountant, meet with myself, and review those transactions because you could potentially have some taxable gains there that you would have to report on your taxes, and you could potentially have some losses. So definitely check in so that when you get to tax time, you're not surprised. So those are my handful of tips for individuals. There's definitely a list of a bunch of other tips that I would share, but I try to keep my videos to about 5 to 10 minutes, right? So I invite you to check in with me, schedule an appointment, let's talk one-on-one. Again, this may not apply to you, but there might be something else that you might be able to benefit from. So I always recommend do a one-on-one consultation so that you can figure out what will work for your individual situation. All right, so we covered individuals. A few tax planning tips for businesses. The first thing I have is, do you potentially have some expenses that you could purchase now? So this is a planning tool. So if you have some, future purchases or equipment or things that you might need, supplies, whatever the case may be, and you did better than you expected this year, maybe December is the time to make some purchases of some things that you might need in the next couple of months for your office, for your business, for operations. So just kind of think about when you can purchase certain expenses and when you can write them off. So I always invite people to, plan ahead, take a look at your budget, take a look at your profits and losses through November or through today, and, kind of see what that end net profit or net loss number is and see what you can afford or what would make sense for your business. This one is not really an IRS issue, but it's a compliance and operation and state tax issue. So a lot of people may be working virtually, or they may be an online retailer. I'm reminding you that you need to check in on your state Nexus. This is specific to sales tax. So if you are selling a tangible item, or if you're subject to sales tax, you want to check in on your Nexus, because if you're working with people in different states and different localities, you might trigger Nexus either by a dollar amount of the transactions that happen during the year, or even by the number of transactions. So every state has a different rule when it comes to Nexus. So you want to check in to make sure that you're not triggering Nexus in any state that would then require you to register with that state to collect and remit sales taxes. So the general rule of thumb is that you don't collect sales taxes unless you are actually registered in that state to do so. But you want to check in to see what the Nexus rules are for that state. And again, you might need to meet with a CPA or an accountant, such as myself, in order to, check in to see, okay, this is what I sold in Florida. This is what I sold in Michigan. This is what I sold in New York. Am I tripping up some of those rules? And what are those rules in that state? All right. And then the last tip that I have, and this one may be a little more involved, but I'm letting you know now so that you have some time to set it up, is you might want to actually look into setting up a self-directed retirement account and making employer and employee contributions. So if you're not sure what a self-directed retirement account is and you are a small business owner, I invite you again to check in with me or do some research on your own. But you can put, similar to like a 401k or an IRA, you can make contributions to these accounts, to these self-directed retirement accounts. But a lot of these self-directed accounts allow you to invest in alternative investments. So this tax tip is a pro tip. So if you're not even, if you never even heard of a 401k, I don't recommend jumping directly to a self-directed account. But there are some benefits and alternative investments that you can invest in, such as real estate or crypto, with a self-directed retirement account. But it takes some planning, and I definitely say, you wanna have someone on your side kind of walking you through how to do that and how to do some tax planning to kind of benefit from that. So those are my tips for today. Again, everyone's individual circumstance is different. So I want to just remind you, you can always schedule a consultation with me, and we can sit and we can kind of go through what you have going on in 2021, and then even start planning for 2022, so you can get ahead of the game. So those are my tips for today, and I will be back next week. So you can always find me on the live Wednesdays at 12 p.m. You can also follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, and you can find me on almost every social media platform. So let's engage. Let's definitely think about what we have going on in 2021 and 2022, right? So that's everything for today, everyone, and I'll be back next week.